Alright, now let's continue with the section B of SPE Science 2016. Question 41. Complete the following passage by using the helping words provided. You may use the word once, okay, pay attention to this instruction, more than once, or none at all. The habit of the students is that they like to answer fast and they don't read the instruction and they usually use the choice only once. They thought they cannot use it more than once. So in this particular question, you can see there you may use it more than once or none at all. And then you can see that the choices are mixture 0.05%, orange, compounds, oxygen, glowing, lighted, nitrogen, white, and 1%. So let's have a look. Air is a blend of gases. So air are found in the atmosphere that's surrounded our Earth, and basically all around us are filled with air. And these air are separate from one another. They are mixture. They are not chemically combined. They are just mixed there around us. It's just that the gases are colorless, therefore we cannot see it. The constituent in air are 79% of nitrogen, so this is one of the gas, 20% oxygen, 0.03% carbon dioxide. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, and blend of noble gases. So if you add on this number, 79 plus 20 is already 99, plus 0.03% is 99.03%. So the remaining is actually, let's calculate, 79 plus 20 plus 0.03, you actually get, by using calculator, 99.03. And if you minus this by 100, you will have 0.97, which approximately mean 1%. Therefore, the remaining is 1% of noble gases and variable amount of water vapor. So altogether you have 5 of these gases mixed together in the air without any chemical reaction. The proportion of water vapor in the air varies from place to place. So this is important statement. It means that if you are close to an area where there's a lot of water, the amount of water vapor will be higher. For example, if you are next to the beach or if you're close to the sea, the air around you will be more damp because there will be more water vapor. In a drier area such as the desert, the air will be more humid because there will be less water vapor. Okay? Noble gases are unreactive gases. So noble gases start with the N, and nitrogen as well are both unreactive gases. You have to remember this. Both of them start with N. Other unreactive gases present in the air is, okay, I've already mentioned there. So it's nitrogen. This is also the reason why there is 79% of nitrogen in the air, because it is less reactive in comparison with other gases. Not less reactive, but unreactive. The presence of oxygen will rekindle. So the special thing about oxygen is that it supports combustion. Therefore, since it supports combustion, it will rekindle or relight. There's 2 types of spleen that you can use, either lighted or glowing, but in this case it must be a glowing spleen. What it means by glowing spleen is that this is the spleen and it's still burning faintly at the end, and once you put oxygen into it, it will rekindle into flame like that. Okay, so oxygen will rekindle or relight a glowing spleen because they support combustion. Next one, the presence of carbon dioxide can be tested using lime water. The lime water forms a blank precipitate when carbon dioxide is present. So the test for carbon dioxide is lime water, and you have to memorize that it will always produce a white precipitate. So in this case, none of the answer is repeated. Just double check. You have mixture, you have glowing, you have white, you have 1%, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can double check the rest of the information if you want to, but I don't think it's needed in this instant. Okay, full 5 marks. Next one. Write true or false in the box provided for each statement below. Passive smokers mean that they do not smoke. But the sad thing is that the people close to them smokes. So they inhale the smoke, I would say, without wanting to. So passive smokers can get the effect like heavy smokers. The answer for this one is yes. So this one is true. There was a case that a passive smoker, get lung cancer even though they don't smoke. So it's quite sad. Yeah. B. An organ is a group of similar cells. Now, an organ shouldn't be a cells. An organ should be a group of similar tissues that work together, not cells. Therefore, this one is false. If a group of similar cells, then it will be tissues. Bacteria and viruses are classified as one. This one is totally false, because bacteria and viruses can only be seen under microscope. Therefore, they are called microorganisms. Antibiotics are drugs used to fight diseases caused by bacteria. This one is true. The reason why it's true is because of the name itself. Anti mean no or against. Biotics mean life. So in this case, the antibiotics is actually to make sure that there is no life of bacteria anymore. Therefore, that one is true. When an acid is added to a metal such as magnesium, oxygen is produced. This one is false. You have not learned this topic, so don't worry about it. But remember the preparation of hydrogen. When you try to prepare hydrogen gas in the lab, you need two things, which is metal, such as zinc, plus acid. So in this case, you have magnesium, the metal, and then the acid here. Therefore, the gas that should be produced is not oxygen, but hydrogen. Okay, let's proceed. Question 43. Figure 24a show the apparatus that can be found in science laboratory. You have ruler, you have beaker, you have stop clock, you have measuring cylinder, you have conical flask, and you have electronic balance. The apparatus in figure 24a can be used to find the properties of substance R and S in figure 24b. State one property of substance R and S which is similar. So I believe this one require a little bit of critical thinking, because you have to observe and see. You have to understand the properties of these two things. The keywords that you should pay attention to is one is a solid, one is a liquid. And you need to know the property of solid, you need to know the property of liquid. And the three things that we usually compare is, number one is this one is in chapter 3 of topic matter. So you can talk in terms of whether they have fixed shape or volume, and then you have to check whether they have fixed. Okay, let's go to chapter 3 of your book. So this is your textbook, the model method. You can see that there's differences between solid, liquid, and gas, and the way the particles are arranged are different. You can see that in solid, particles are strongly attracted, while in liquid it's not strongly attracted but still attracted, but for gases they're weakly attracted. And then in solid they're packed very close, liquid they're just packed closely, while in gases they're far apart. And if you look there about the movement, the solid particles only vibrate in their fixed position, while the liquid particle move over short distance, and for the gas they move freely in any direction. So this one is fixed, this one move over each other, and this one move further away from one another. And two things you can compare, they have solid have fixed shape, liquid do not have fixed shape. What happens is that if you pour liquid into a container, they will follow the shape of the container. In this case, it's follow the shape of a cone. And the third one, the gas has no definite shape, also fill the shape of the container. So you fill the container with a lot of gas, and then you have that. For volume, liquid solid have definite volume, and liquid also have definite or fixed volume, and the only thing that do not has fixed volume is gas. So you can see here the similarities between solid and liquid is that both of them has fixed volume. Um, so in this question the properties of them are that both of them has fixed volume. Solid and liquid has fixed volume. That is the only thing that is similar between them. Okay, I've already mentioned there. Just want to double confirm. It's always okay to double confirm just to make sure that whatever that you forgot, you just double check in your book. Next one, use the apparatus in figure 24a to describe briefly how would you confirm the property you stated in A one is similar. So here the keyword is apparatus in figure 24a to describe briefly how would you confirm the property you stated in A1 is similar. So in order to compare the volume between these two things, you have to look at the object. And if you look at this solid R, it's a cuboid. And for a cuboid, to find the volume of cuboid, you have to measure three things. You have to find the length, you have to find the breadth, and you have to find the height of the object. Therefore, to answer this question, for substance R, use formula to find the volume of a cuboid using length times breadth times height. And since the question asks about apparatus, the best thing that you can use to measure the length, breadth, and height from the choices is the ruler, because the ruler is easier to use compared to the rest. So in the apparatus, and use ruler to measure it. So you can use the ruler to measure the length, the breadth, and the height, and use formula to find the volume of the cuboid. So 1 marks for mentioning to use the formula L, length times breadth times height, and 1 marks to by mentioning using ruler. That's why there's 2 marks there. And substance S, which is the liquid, the best thing you should use to find a liquid is definitely, you have two choices here, measuring cylinder and beaker, but the most accurate one in between these are the measuring cylinder. So what you can use is use measuring cylinder. And what happens is that you pour the liquid into the measuring cylinder, and after you pour the liquid into the measuring cylinder, and you should read below meniscus. We double check the time, and you should read below meniscus. Use measuring cylinder, pour the liquid, and read eye level below meniscus. So 2 marks to get that one. There's another alternative that you can write down. What you can do is that you can mention there, read the reading of the measuring cylinder first. So you can read initial and read the reading after you pour liquid in and calculate by final minus initial. The reason why I don't give this answer for this question is because it starts with 0. So the value you can read immediately as you pour the liquid in. Alright, next one. So hopefully you understand. So this question requires you to think critically, and you have to pay attention to the keywords and then look again and again in order to get the answer. Let's proceed. Question B. A group of students investigate the properties of compound and mixtures. So compound and mixtures are always being compared by carrying out two experiments, experiment 1 and experiment 2 in the figure 25. So let's have a look at the experiment first. Experiment 1, making a mixture. So you have iron fillings, which is one substance, and you have a sulfur, which is another substance. And when the iron filling is gray and sulfur is yellow, and when you mix these two together, you get a grayish yellow substance, which is a mixture of iron fillings and sulfur. No chemical reaction whatsoever, it's just two things being mixed together. For compound, experiment 2, you have iron fillings, substance 1, and then you have sulfur, which is yellow, substance 2. And what happens is that when you mix them together, you heat them up. When you heat them up, what happens is that you created chemical reaction. So these two things, which is iron fillings and sulfur, they will combine together, and when they combine together they become a new substance called iron sulfide, and this iron sulfide is black, and they are chemically combined, which means that you cannot separate them easily. They are not just mixed, but they are chemically combined. In comparison with mixture, which is on top, there is no chemical reaction, they're just mixed together. That's why you can see the color is still grayish yellow. But for iron sulfide, you can see the color is black. Now, let's have a look at the question. Describe a laboratory safety precaution that should be taken by students at step 4. So at step 4, you're heating chemical. So the best thing that you should do is that to protect yourself. And the best one that you can do is, because when you heat sulfur and iron fillings, it's bound for it to react like that, and you need to cover your eyes. So I would say use safety goggles. That is the best choice for this experiment. And give a word equation for the reaction in experiment 2. Word equation mean you just copy the word and you add equation. So for experiment 2, you're adding two things. So you have iron fillings, you have sulfur. So let's write that down first. So you have iron, then you plus with sulfur. Let's have a look at the spelling of sulfur for this one, F-U-R. And in the end, you get iron sulfide. So just copy all of those. Iron sulfide, and with that you get 1 marks as well. So 1 mark here, 1 mark there. Give to observation in the experiment which shows that the properties of compounds are different from a mixture. To observation means two things that you can see here. The most obvious one is that the final product for compound is black in color, but for mixture you can see the color is still grayish yellow. So you can see that In experiment 2, a new compound, or let's just write down a new substance, because you can mention compound, but since this one is comparing between compound and mixture, I use substance instead. A new substance is made, which is black in color. That's number one. And the second one I could write is, you can see that in experiment 2, it involved chemical reaction, but here you don't have any chemical reaction, you just mix it. So you can write down in experiment 2, chemical reaction is involved, while in experiment 1, no chemical reaction. So 1 mark here mentioning new substances formed, 1 mark here mentioning there is chemical reactions. Let's continue. Number 44, topic on magnet. Figure 26 show 3 identical ring magnets arranged through a plastic stick. So this thing at the center is plastic, and there's 3 rings that float against one another. So when it says float, it means that the magnets are repelling against one another. So when it repels, we say they have like poles. When we say like poles, it means they are the same, either north and north or south and south. Let's have a look. Explain why the magnet floats. So as I mentioned just now, the moment I look at the word float, it means because the magnet repel each other, that is 1 mark, as they are like poles. So another 1 mark there. Repel each other, 1 mark. They are like poles, another 1 mark. What would be the poles of X, Y, and Z? And you're given their north pole on top of here. So since one is north pole, the other one should be south pole. And since they are repelling, the one at the bottom should be north pole as well. Therefore, on top should be south poles. And the one at the bottom here repel against one another, therefore it's a south pole, and the one on top is north pole. Therefore Z is south, Y is south, and X is north. Therefore the answer is north, south, and south. Don't just write down N, because you might lose mark, because they are specifically asking what would be the poles. Don't just write down N poles. So North Pole, South Pole, and South Pole. Yay, 3 marks. What would happen if pole X is turned upside down to face pole Y? So if you just change the face upside down, it will attract. Simple. If the same face repel, then if you just turn it upside down, it will attract. Can just add on, not necessarily because it's only 1 mark, but you can add on. You can just say it will attract because they are unlike poles. 45, you haven't learned this one, so I'm gonna skip it for now. Let's have a look. This one you're gonna learn during Ramadan in the after exam. And 46 about heart. 46A, figure 29A show the structure of a human transport system. So you have lung and you have heart, and they talk about how the blood flows in here, and you have A, B, C, D. So I believe they will ask you about the labeling. Which blood vessels A, B, C, or D carry blood containing a high concentration of oxygen? Now, carry blood containing high oxygen. If it has high oxygen, it means it must go to all parts of the body, because your body is the one that need oxygen, and the blood vessels that transport bloods to all part of your body is aorta. And aorta, it carries blood away, a mean all. So if you look at the choice, aorta in this case is the one that carries blood away from the heart. The answer is D for the first part. Why is the wall of the left ventricle thicker than the right ventricle? The reason is because of what I said just now. So left side is here, it's already mentioned here, left, and you can see the muscle is thicker. The reason why it's thicker is because you need to transport blood to all parts of the body. Therefore, you need to withstand the pressure or the force. To withstand the pressure or the force, as blood is pumped to all parts of the body. Sometimes the question will ask you, why is the right ventricle is thinner? So the reason why this one is slightly thinner in compared to the left side is because your lungs is literally next to your heart, so you just need to pump it lightly. There is no strong force or whatsoever, and you prefer it to go slowly as well in the capillaries, because you want to get a lot of oxygen. You want to remove carbon dioxide as well. Carbon dioxide out, oxygen in. While for the rest of part of your body, they have to go to top part of your body, and they also have to go to the bottom part of your body, which is actually quite distance in comparison to your lungs. Alright, next one. B, figure 29b shows the cross section of two blood vessels and arteries and vein. So again, AY mean away from the heart, V in mean back, V back into the heart, away from heart. From figure 29a in question 46a, use letter A, B, C, D or to groups different type of blood vessels under arteries or veins. So since arteries is away, let's just look at the picture first. So artery have smaller lumen. So this hole at the center is what we call as lumen. Indian line, it will be emphasized more, and this one has larger lumen. And when it has smaller lumen, it means that there will be higher pressure. So the blood will flow under higher pressure because there's not enough space there. While this one, there's a lot of space for the blood to flow, so it will be much more relaxed. So there is lower pressure for the vein. Other than that, the vein goes back to your heart. Therefore, it shouldn't be under high pressure. If not, your heart will have, you can have heart attack. So we want to avoid that. And since it's higher pressure, you can also see that the muscle layer is actually thicker, while this one in comparison is actually thinner. The reason why it's thinner is, again, it doesn't need to withstand the lower pressure. Now let's have a look. To answer this question, we just have to look which one go away and which one go back in. Just look at the arrows, and you can see that A, the arrow is going out, so A, and D is away, and B, you can see it's going back into the heart, so this one is B, and C also back into the heart from the lungs, so this one is B. So A and D is artery, C and B is vein. So A, D, B and C are vein. And based on figure 29b, explain two differences between artery and veins. So it's basically all these things I mentioned there. uh, but you can answer in artery. Let's talk about the function first. Blood is carried away, that's one mark already, from the heart, and second thing you can mention is under high pressure. Don't talk about oxygen in this case because oxygen is different under high pressure, so that's another one mark. So carried away is one mark, under high pressure is one mark, while vein carry blood back into heart under lower pressure. Okay, so that's it. Explain why the heart beat faster during vigorous exercise. So when you undergo exercises, what happens is that your cell uses a lot of energy. The body uses a lot of energy. Therefore, since your body uses a lot of energy, you need more two things: nutrients and oxygen. The body uses a lot of energy, you need more nutrients and oxygens to reach your tissues faster. Hence the reason why your heart beat faster when you exercise. So one mark for mentioning that you need more nutrients and oxygen, one mark for mentioning that's why you need to reach your body faster. Okay, all right, the rest of the question again you have not learned, so we're gonna stop until there and I'm gonna continue in the next paper. Thank you.